Welcome to the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast.
My name is Jen Clark.
And I'm Elke Clark. We are a mother-daughter team who started our Zazzle e-commerce businesses over 10 years ago and have sold over $15 million worth and counting of products on Zazzle with our designs on them.
We had so many people asking us how we did this, so we created the Profit by Design Academy, a 12-month coaching program where you will implement the 5 strategies we have used for success on Zazzle.
When we aren't coaching our amazing clients to reach millions in sales on Zazzle, we love cooking food from places all over the world that we've traveled to, jet-setting to our next dream destination, spending quality time with our close friends and family, or having fun creating our next bestsellers in our own Zazzle businesses.
In this podcast, we share actionable steps you can take to make money in your online business using Zazzle. Each episode will take you one step closer to creating that perfect business, which will give you the freedom to live your dream life.
We believe that you can have anything you dream of as long as you work smarter, not harder. We're here to give you the tools you need to make your dream life happen. So let's get started. Well, hey there, it's Elke.
And Jen, and welcome to another episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast. And in this episode today, we are going to be talking about how Europe, Majorca, Spain was my playground for 10 years because I was able to live there and travel because I worked on Zazzle.
That's right. Jen had a store on Zazzle, which she ran as her online business and was able to support herself while she was having the most fun. And I'm so jealous because it was awesome. And I always got all these pictures of turquoise blue seas and everything. And I'm going like, it's really true. She's living her dream life because she did the work on her Zazzle business. And even though she was there having fun, she was managing her business and working on it as well. But her business was working for her rather than her working for her business.
Yeah.
Okay, so today let's hear about Jen's story. And let's start with what is Zazzle, and I'll take this because Jen always does this one so she could talk about her life in Majorca, which is what you really want to hear. But if for anyone who's new, who doesn't know who we are, we're definitely Zazzle aficionados. We love Zazzle because not only did it help Jen live a life in Majorca, and also she's still living a wonderful life, just in a different place now because of her Zazzle earnings. And it allowed me as well to do what I wanted in my life. And the two of us together have made over 1.5 million using this platform. And for people who may not know what Zazzle is, it's a shopping site for people who are customers, but the site depends on original, unique artwork, creativity, photographs, cartoons, surface patterns, whatever, so that those types of assets can be put on products that are virtual and sold in the marketplace. And then once the customer buys it, then Zazzle goes to work and puts prints that asset onto the blank product that's virtually shown and actually does the customer fulfillment. So in terms of a business model, it's fantastic because you don't have to touch any inventory. You don't have to deal with customers. You don't have to deal with billing. You don't even have to deal with getting the products in the first place to be able to print on. And you don't obviously have anything to do with printing the product itself. So it's very hands-off, and it allows us to do the creative side, do it all on a computer and laptop wherever there's internet, such as in Majorca, and then just watch those earnings come in if you've done them right while you're sipping a margarita on the beach. So that's the idea today. It's a fun episode, and we want to hear all about Jen's story, and she's going to give us some really great tips so that you can feel good about making that decision to start an online business, preferably on Zazzle, because it's done really well for us. Okay, so how about you get started?
Yeah.
And I'll be quiet here.
So my story, if you are new to our community, my name is Jen, obviously, and I decided to start an online business because I really wanted to travel when I was in university. I didn't enjoy my university path that I had created for myself. I was in business and I was studying a lot of marketing. Well, I wanted to study marketing, but I was studying a lot of calculus and economics and things like that. And I just was not happy with where I was. And so Elke at that point decided that she also wanted to start working online because she wanted to quit her 9-to-5 corporate job. And we came across Zazzle. So that was sort of the initiator of how we became, Zazzle own business owners and where we are today. So throughout my journey, I started to really treat my Zazzle business as a business rather than just a hobby. And I also, at that point in time, really wanted to travel. And I had met somebody who I ended up dating, and he was Spanish, and I moved over to Spain to be with him. But I met somebody at that point in time at my beginning of my Zazzle journey. And because he had lived over there, I decided that I could go and live with him. I really wanted to pursue my relationship with him, and I wanted to make sure that we would actually be in the same space rather than doing long distance. And thankfully, I had then built up my Zazzle business to be supportive of me and my financial situation, that I was able to move over to be in Spain and live there without having to worry about earning money with an actual physical job or a 9 to 5 job, or getting, a job at a restaurant or something like that. And also put on top of that, and that's why I told you about my university experience, was that I actually ended up dropping out of university in my second year because I didn't really like the path that I was going on. And so I had thankfully built up this Zazzle business so that I didn't have to have any work experience or have a prior job to actually make money. And then also on top of that, travel halfway across the world and move to a different speaking, like a different language speaking country, and also move to a country that was in a financial situation where they weren't hiring, let's call them immigrants, because I definitely was I was an immigrant to the country. They weren't hiring people who didn't live in Spain or who were of Spanish nationality, because there was such high unemployment rate back then. And I also didn't speak any word of Spanish at that point in time. I was only, I had a hard time to even present myself to get a potential job, because there was no possibility of, me getting something in the situation that was happening right there. So anyway, I was able to then have my Zazzle business provide for me, which was amazing. So I was able to rent an apartment. I bought my first car there, and I was able to just live my dream life. And I had worked it out so that I had implemented the 5 strategies that Elke and I now teach to our clients into my Zazzle business, so that I was able to walk down to the beach every single afternoon and just take some time off. And I was able to just, relax and enjoy my surroundings as well, because Majorca is a very beautiful island off the coast of Barcelona in Spain. And so I definitely had a wonderful time, playing around. It was literally your playground. Like, everybody who's in North America knows that they go down south or to the Caribbean for holidays. Everyone in Europe goes to Majorca or the Mediterranean for holidays. And so I was living a permanent vacation basically for the past, for those 10 years. And I would just wake up, and I had an apartment down the street from the beach. So I would work on my Zazzle business in the morning, and then I would take time off to go and just go swimming or sunbathe or whatever it may be. And yeah, I had a wonderful time exploring and living the island life. And I was only able to do that because I had set up my Zazzle business. It's much more common now for a lot of people to have, like, let's say, nomad businesses where they travel the world and they go from country to country and hop to different places. But when I first moved over to Spain, that was in 2000, and I think it was 2011. And becoming a nomad, or like a digital blogger, or somebody who made money online and moved to countries, it wasn't really truly a thing yet. It had just started to become that people were starting to make money online. But that was still, like, when we first started out on Zazzle, people were hesitant to buy purchases online. They didn't want to put their credit card information out on the internet. And so for me to move from Canada to Spain based on the fact that I was making money online with a job or a business that I created by myself, it was just sort of like this monumental
It
thing.
was.
Like,
It
people didn't
was.
understand it. And so I had sort of broke through I wanted to say broke through the ice, or whatever, the barrier or something
You
like
were
that.
at the forefront of
Yes.
pioneer in this area.
Pioneering. Yes. And so I was able to move without hesitation and worry. And then also I was able to, on top of that, live within Spain with certain visas, because I had created my online business and I was able to be there. Because if you didn't have some sort of income or studies, then you had to, like, yeah, getting a visa was actually quite hard, in terms of that you had to either have a job or go to school. And there was also another visa that I got as well. But because I had my own income and my own job and business, it was easy for me to not have to worry about getting specific visas for things, because I could financially support myself. And so, yeah, it was just a wonderful experience. And for anyone who's listening to this podcast and you're interested in just even maybe traveling on vacation here and there and not living in a different country, but, exploring or taking time off, Zazzle really helped me with that whole experience because I didn't need to be in a physical location. I just needed Wi-Fi on my computer. And then I obviously needed to be dedicated to putting in the work and the hours when I wanted to and being, let's say, quote unquote, my own boss and keeping myself accountable, because that's definitely one of the tips that I'm going to be talking to you about. But you have to make sure that you're, because you are your own boss, you have to obviously put in the hours and the work, even though you're, 5 feet away from paradise and laying on the beach. But so the fact that I was able to set that up for myself really enhanced the experience, because I had friends who were working in restaurant jobs, and then also Majorca and Spain and the Mediterranean in general is very much like tourist based. And I was going to say like sea related too. So working on boats and working on yachts. And those are very hard physical labor jobs and like long hours as well. And sometimes the pay isn't the greatest. And so I was very fortunate because I would tell stories to my friends of how I was working online, and then I could take time off and go to the beach, and they were working long hours and under hard circumstances, and they were actually very jealous. And I taught a lot of people of how to make money online before we even had our courses available to my friends and even my ex-partner's family members, because I wanted to help people out. Because in Spain, in addition to all of that, Spanish people didn't really understand that you could make money online. It was very much like you needed to go to a physical job, you needed to work your hours and get paid for those hours worked. And so I had also not only had moved across the country to be my own boss and live in a different country, but then I was also showing people, like local people who lived in Majorca, how they could potentially change their lives, because they had no idea what Zazzle was. They had no idea that you could make money online. And they just looked at me like I was, out of this world, because it was just such a foreign concept to them. And so for me and my experience, it was just, I wouldn't take it back for anything, because I was able to just be and do what I wanted to. And that was the whole reason why I created my Zazzle business, because when I was younger, I really truly wanted to travel the world and have that time and location freedom. And I know that many people have different whys. Elke had, her why was to quit her job so that she could spend time with her family and watch her children grow and spend time with, like being our mother and being very hands-on with us, because when she was in her corporate job, she was missing out on opportunities to be with us while we were growing up and getting older. And so for me, my why was to travel the world, and I definitely explored that to the fullest. And thankfully, Zazzle was available, and that I treated it as a business when I did, because if I were to have tried to make that switch, like move from Canada to Spain at a different point in time or without the same circumstances, I don't think it would have worked. And so everything had to work perfectly. And then that's also why we teach the 5 strategies the exact way that they are taught, is because if I didn't have one of those and I had 4 or a mixture of them, but not all fully 5, then there would be no way that I would have been able to do what I did. And yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. Mom came, Elke came, my family came over, visited.
I rented an apartment for 2 years, didn't I?
Yep. And family visits for extended time. So I showed them around the island, and we all just had an amazing experience. And if it weren't for Zazzle, like I would have not been able to go and live over there. I would have made it work maybe some way differently, but it wouldn't have been the same experience at all. Yeah.
Well, and and that just reminded me, I also came over because of Zazzle. I could do that. I could work anywhere in the world.
You spent 3 months at a time.
Yeah. Like, because the visa would only let me stay so long. But yeah, I took those 3 months, like every last day of it, just because it's so beautiful there. And in the meantime, my Zazzle business was still running, and I played around with it for a bit. And in the meantime, joined Jen on the beach.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. And we have some wonderful experiences being on the sea, going on boats, traveling. And so it was just, Zazzle gave me this opportunity to just live my life to the fullest. And it was wonderful. And I felt so happy about it.
Have you heard about the Profit by Design Academy yet?
Are you looking for the perfect online business or side hustle that gives you monthly cash flow so you can live your dream life?
Are you a new or current Zazzle creator who is struggling to figure out how to make Zazzle work for you, worried that you're wasting your time and using the throw spaghetti against the wall to see if it sticks trick method, and unsure about how you can start and scale your Zazzle business?
Then the Profit by Design Academy is a perfect solution for you. You will feel confident, supported, and clear on how you will create a financial abundance side hustle using the Zazzle marketplace.
Imagine having access to the exact 5 strategies that we've used to build our Zazzle business and scale it, which we have sold over $15 million worth of Zazzle products so far with that method.
And that's not just us. We've helped our coaching clients in the Profit by Design Academy sell over $30 million worth of Zazzle products combined.
We invite you to join this incredible coaching experience where you receive the proven roadmap and hands-on support to accelerate your Zazzle business and make your dream of achieving passive income a reality.
Head on over to the show notes to grab the link and we will see you on the inside. Or go to elkeclark.com/start-and-scale.
Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, so this is great. I mean, like now we're all just want to go over to Majorca and we'll have a big conference over there. And that's actually one of the reasons that we had our first mastermind in Majorca, because we loved it so much. And the people who came over, including Brandon and Gree, you might remember her, and actually Michelle, you're going to get to know a little bit more because we've done a podcast with her. And by now, actually, she would have had her podcast. So I'm going to put that episode in as well. I'm just going to make a note here. But yes, those people were just so lovely. And we were able to do our mastermind there as the first mastermind we ever did. And it just people were so taken by the island, and it really helped them see what they could have as a lifestyle outside of their normal lifestyle if they got their Zazzle business to work, right? It's one thing for us to experience it. It's another for someone else to kind of be taken out of their normal lifestyle, put into something else, and realize, wow, there's more in this world than anything, than what we thought was possible.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Okay, so you've got some tips for people.
Yes.
And
So
they're general tips, unless you want to go more detailed
no, well,
with
yeah.
Zazzle, but for
So
online businesses.
The first one, which you probably have heard, is that you need a proven plan. I talked about the 5 strategies. If I didn't have a plan and kind of did it willy-nilly and threw spaghetti at the walls, which I did at the beginning of when I first started out, I wouldn't have been able to have that structured business, and it would not have been working for me properly. So definitely a proven plan. And though thankfully Elke had taught me the 5 strategies that she used in her Zazzle business to make it successful and profitable and passive. And so I implemented those 5 strategies into my business. And that is now why we teach our clients the 5 strategies that we implemented, the exact ones that we implemented to create our own Zazzle businesses. Because as I said, if I just had a plan that was kind of here and there, it wouldn't have worked. And a lot of us don't have that structured plan. We think we do, but we're either not dedicated or accountable, or we don't actually have the full experience of what potentially could happen and or the possibilities. And so having that plan and that outside perspective from Elke, and the both of us sort of working together and figuring out why certain things work and why they don't, has really helped my business and also our clients as well. And Elke's truly, obviously.
Well, and time again, not only my story where it took 2 years to figure things out, but also Jen's, where she said, Mom, I've got this. I'm smarter than you. And then in the end, she tried it. And then when she was realizing that she could do quicker, better, then all of a sudden it was like, Mom, tell me those 5 strategies. And then Brandon, Christine, everyone that we showcase all the time, doing it on their own was difficult. Doing it with the 5 strategies became so much easier. So that's super important. Not so much that we're trying to sell anything here, but it's just that those 5 strategies really encompass an entire business process. And so as soon as you're running a proper business properly, then of course it's going to work, because you're taking all the best practices from what businesses are successful and you're incorporating it in your own.
Yeah. And the next tip is thinking outside of the box and realizing that there are other possibilities for you. And this kind of ties in what I talked about with my friends when I was in Spain, that I tried to teach them that this is what I did. Like, I make money online. Like, I literally showed them money that I earned from when I was doing things with them on the beach, on the boat, or even sleeping. And their minds were so, they had no idea. So they had to think outside the box and finally understand that this is a possibility for them. And so my tip to you is also think outside the box and think that there are other possibilities. And just because you don't know them right now doesn't mean that they don't exist. And we like to say, you don't know what you don't know. And it's very true, because if you don't know something, how could you even potentially even like fathom the fact that something else could be different? And so thinking outside of the box was definitely a big experience for me, and understanding how certain things could change. And if I hadn't started out on Zazzle, or if I hadn't implemented the 5 strategies, or if I hadn't X, Y, and Z, then I wouldn't have gone to Majorca. I wouldn't have been able to support myself. And then I wouldn't be here today speaking about my story, right? And so just those slight changes of thinking outside the box can make a world of difference and open up so many possibilities for you.
Yeah. And also thinking that if an online business is going to be similar to what you're leaving in terms of the current thing that you're doing to try and make money, think outside the box as to how money can be made. And that goes back to what Jen talked about with her friends. It was eye-opening when I met these people. They kept going, like, is what Jennifer doing real? And it's like, well, it's also what I'm doing. And what 2 of us are right here. We paid for our plane ticket somehow, didn't we?
Well, that reminds me of when you were actually trying to rent one of the apartments in
Yeah.
Spain. And because we told the woman who owned the apartment, we can pay the entire amount up front. And mom was staying there for 3 months, and it was quite a bit of money, right? Think about 3 months, like living in an apartment, an Airbnb. It's a big chunk of change. And we said, we can pay the entire amount up front, no worries. And this woman wouldn't even accept the money because she didn't understand how she said that, oh, I don't understand what you do for business. And even though you have the money, I'm not accepting it because I just don't get it. There's no way that you can make money
it took
online.
a lot of time to convince her.
Yeah.
Well,
So like people that was many years ago, right? So people are much more open to the concept of making money online, but just the whole thing is that a lot of people still don't understand or understand that the possibilities are there, right?
yeah. And also just think back to what I started with because I got off track. But yeah, you do not need to have the same number of hours committed and the time spent doing it something, and also the limitation or amount of earnings. They're all up for negotiation because you're creating your own business, you're deciding how it goes, and you've got a lot of examples of people being successful, and you can decide how that all works and how it's going to work for you, which means that you can think outside the box because you can make your own rules up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the next tip that we have is don't let circumstances around you define who you are as a business owner and how you act.
It's possible.
And what's possible. So we kind of touched on that just now, but then also your circumstances around in your life happens, right? We've had actually many traumatic experiences. We've had things happen to us in our lives. And so I have had ups and downs and obstacles to overcome, but I know that having those circumstances within my life push me to either work harder or smarter or prepare for the future, right? And so you understand that certain things will happen to you. You know, family members might need your help at one point in time, or you yourself might need to take some time off, and or just life happens, right? And so you have to be very dedicated and know that you are working at this point in time to build something that will help you in the future if you need to take that time off. But then also within those circumstances, know that you are strong enough to push forward. Don't stop and don't get yourself sort of stuck or frozen or overwhelmed. And that's what we teach our clients. And don't give up. And that's what we teach our clients too in the Profit by Design Academy and our 7-figure seller mastermind. We do a lot of mindset work because Elke and myself have been through a lot of things in our lives, and circumstances are obstacles which can always be overcome, right? I always like to think of it like a mountain or a little hill, like something's in front of you, but you're always able to get to the other side. You just need the right tools. So that's my tip for you, is that you just have to keep going and don't give up. And then the second last one is to be part of a group of people that will inspire you and support you and, motivate you, because it's really important to have that community within your space. Zazzle is very much a solo type thing where you're in your own business and you're in your own mind, you're on your computer alone, more or less. Many of our clients understand this because, within your family group or friend group as well, they don't work on Zazzle, more or less, or more likely, sorry. And so you need to have that community of like-minded people that will support you, like myself and Elke. We talk Zazzle. We know what Zazzle is, right?
We talk it all the time.
We talk it all the time. And so if you're in a situation where your family or your friends, they don't speak about Zazzle, or they know that you work on Zazzle, but they're not really there 100%, then you need to have that supportive community, because it's really great to have, like, people can't be alone all the time, right? And especially a lot of our clients, they try to make decisions on their own, or they think they're doing the right thing. They've been on Zazzle for many years or working on their online business for many years. And because they didn't have that outside perspective of somebody else's opinion or somebody else's viewpoint, then they thought that they were doing the right thing, expecting a different result, but they kept on doing the same thing over and over again. And that's, you go insane after that. And so having that group of like-minded people will definitely help you move yourself up. And then also there's
Well, can you speak also to the fact that, that most people, including your partner in Spain, didn't really get it. And so there's a lot of backlash there. And
Yeah.
it kind of got a little bit depressed because people weren't validating you and how you, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is how the community can help as well.
Yeah, validation and support is definitely important, because you second guess yourself or you have doubt. And so if you have friends or family members or a partner or someone in your life who doesn't either get it or doesn't understand or support you, like they acknowledge what you're doing, but they don't actually really truly help you and like move forward, let's say. Because I did have friends and my ex-partner who would say, "Oh, great job," or "That's awesome," or, they would sort of just be there, but they wouldn't actually fully support me or understand what I was going through. Or they, said, "Hey, you're never going to make money with that. You need to get a real job." Even though I was making more money than they were making, and I was showing them the dollar values, but it was like, because I physically wasn't in an office working those hours, because they had that mindset of you need to be in a job, going to work, driving to work, etc., whatever you want to call it. Many people will resonate with this. Because I wasn't doing that physical action of going to somewhere to sit in a desk or whatever, or go and work in a restaurant, I wasn't actually truly working, quote unquote.
They were telling you were lazy, and it was sort of magical that you made money.
Yeah, it was a very weird dynamic. So if you are in that same situation, you need to have that community or a group of people who support you and understand, because it can really get you down, right? You feel like you're not doing the right thing, like you second guess yourself, you question your actions, even though you are doing more or less the right thing and the numbers or the dollar values or your sales are coming in. If you start to get in your own head, then you self-sabotage, and actually the actions that you take going forward are detrimental to your business. And then either or you don't take action, right? Because you think, well, what's the point? Why? Like, it's not worth it, or it's, so you have to have that group of people that support you, because you need to feel seen and heard and know that your Zazzle business or your business in general online is moving in the right direction.
Yeah. So by the way, we'll put a link to our free Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Facebook group, so that you can join that and be part of our community.
Yeah. And the last one is keeping yourself accountable. And this is my hardest one that I had to deal with, because living in a beautiful country by the beach, it definitely, things call to you and you say, is it important that I sit at my Zazzle, like on my computer and work on my Zazzle business, or can I go to the beach? There has to be a huge balance, and you definitely have to keep yourself accountable. And this is the hardest part for a lot of our clients, because you don't have somebody on top of you, let's say a boss or somebody like a supervisor, etc., telling you the actions that you need to take in that moment.
And when they're due. Yeah.
And when they're due. We, Elke and myself, are your mentors if you're in our Profit by Design Academy, and we give you the action steps that you need to take, and we tell you the strategies. But what we cannot always do is sit behind you or sit beside you holding your hand and saying, okay, this needs to be done at this moment. We have our Facebook communities and our Team Clark, and we have our structure of our courses. But when you remove our courses, and if you're just doing it on your own as a Zazzle designer, you really need to work hard at keeping yourself accountable, because it's really easy to either work too hard or work not at all. And you have to have that really great balance, because we do want to create this business online so that we can have that really great work-life balance where we have free time and we can do whatever we want. But at the same point in time, if we don't put in the right work, we won't get the benefits and we won't see the success or the profitability of the business. And I was fortunate enough to build my Zazzle business up properly and effectively, so that when my father passed away in 2015, I was actually able to take a couple years off without even doing anything with my Zazzle business. And I then still made money. Like, I was still making the amount of money that I was making prior to my father passing away, because I had set it up well. But if you were not keeping yourself accountable, or if I didn't keep myself accountable during the previous years, and I just decided to stop working, then it definitely would have changed the situation, and I wouldn't have been in the same situation. And so you definitely have to keep yourself accountable. And there are a lot of tools that we teach in terms of how you can do so in the Profit by Design Academy. And we have a lot of team support, and we have a lot of podcasts where we talk about, keeping yourself accountable and things like that. But every person has to stand up to the plate and say, I need to do this because this is what's going to make my business work for me. So that's the biggest tip that I had too, is that if you don't keep yourself accountable, then you'll see the consequences later on.
All really wise tips. So get a proven plan, think outside the box, don't let circumstances around you define what's possible for you. Get involved in a community of like-minded people to keep supporting you, and stay accountable.
Yes. So thank you so much for listening to my story and listening to my business tips. And we will see you in the next episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast.
Thanks so much. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur Podcast with us, Jen and Elke Clark.
We hope this episode has given you actionable steps to building your online business that gives you the monthly cash flow you want while working less and living more.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Each review helps us reach more entrepreneurs like you working to create a profitable e-commerce online business.
Follow us on Instagram at Ms. Jen Clark and at Elke Clark, and DM us with your biggest takeaway from today's episode. See you back here next week.